and also one of the refineries. And I think this is the path to victory for Ukraine. As part of a multi-tiered, multifaceted, comprehensive approach to focus on destroying Russia's oil and gas export capability is what's going to make the difference in the long run. That's not going to end the war in the next month, but as Ukraine's capabilities with long range precision strike continue to get better, and as they get more of these, then I think there will not be a single refinery or export hub that will escape Ukrainian attack. That's going to make a difference.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Really, I feel personally it's difficult because I'm very fond of St. Petersburg. I've been there many times. It is a naturally beautiful city. But what I think is the big distinction here, and Ben, I'm curious for your military angle on this, is the Ukrainians are very targeted in what they're striking. Right? It's not just civilian centers or residential blocks in Romania. It's specific targeted sites, the ones that are legal under international humanitarian law. And I think that demonstrates more than ever the approach to how each side conducts this war and the general treatment of that. Would you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the Russians treat everything with a blunt instrument. I mean, they have no problems with or no compunction about innocent civilians who were killed, but what we would refer to as collateral damage. That's actually the target. There's so many reports of missiles slamming into apartment blocks and hospitals and shopping centers, and I mean, this has been the way it's been from the beginning. And of course, going after civilian infrastructure such as power plants. These are the kind of things that are all illegal under international law. But the Russians are not bothered with that, which is also why, by the way, I think in the coming years, every officer that was anywhere in the chain of command for making these decisions, whether it was targeting or executing the strikes, for the rest of his life is going to have to be checking under his car and looking under over his shoulder because the GUR is going to hunt them down. But you make the very good point that the Ukrainians very specifically are targeting not just a refinery to punch a hole in a big storage thing, because that's easily repaired and the effect is minimal. But if you're able to hit specific parts of a refinery that are much more difficult to replace and much more difficult to repair, that has a greater impact. And then, of course, if you can hit Russian Navy vessels that are sitting there in dry dock, and this particular vessel was said to be one of the more modern, more effective ships of the Russian Navy, that's the kind of target you want to hit. What's amazing to me, Pyotr, is that the Russians still seem incapable of stopping these attacks. Obviously, they knocked down some of the Ukrainian drones, maybe even a lot of them, but the amount that get through, and this and you'll know this because of your own experience of having been in Russia. The One of the great strengths of Russia over the centuries was its size, just the sheer vastness of Russia that they could absorb invaders. But now, because Ukraine has developed the ability to hit with precision a target that's 1,000 kilometers away or even more, that that vastness becomes a vulnerability because the Russians cannot protect everything. And I think the Ukrainians are going to make them pay for that. But you can be confident that the Hermitage probably will not be hit.